everybody know. All right, so I want to welcome everybody to this webinar series. It doesn't really have a name, so we're just gonna call it the Technology Webinar Series. Um, you are all have been invited to the Google Classroom and have joined. This is where we will you will get all information from me, aside from maybe a text just to remind you. We are only having two synchronous meetings. This one and the last one on November, I think it's not the 7th, the 4th. I believe it's November 4th. And in between these two synchronous meetings, we'll have 3 asynchronous webinars as well. So our Zoom link can always be found in the Google Classroom underneath Zoom links. And we are going to have 2 things a week you're going to be asked to do. Well, I guess 3. One is either attend or watch the webinar. 2, there's going to be some type of assessment given to you based off the webinar. And 3, there's going to be a reflective journal that you are going to answer questions in. So just to show you how this reflective journal works, and also give you a background on why you're doing it, is because that is one of the weeks is going to be on reflective journals and getting it to be interactive. So everything we do in this webinar series is going to make you the student of what I'm teaching you how to use. So 1 week I will teach you literally how to make this reflective journal, and that in turn, you doing it is you're going to be able to see how it feels for the student to do the reflective journal. And I'm going to be showing you on the teacher end what it looks like. Also, the assessments, every assessment I make will be used from an assessment that I teach in this webinar series as well. So everything is very hands-on. Meetings at the most are an hour. Our synchronous ones, I know the asynchronous ones are, I think the longest one is about 48 minutes. And so on asynchronous weeks, if you've watched it before or you watched the asynchronous video at any time and you want to reach out because you have some questions, I'm always available through email. And so now I want to show you all what this reflection journal will look like and how it will work from week to week. Later on, I'll discuss how to make it. But so today, everybody has now been given their own webinar series. You will just replace name. You can change the theme, and this will be yours. From a week to week basis, you're going to have the same questions. The only thing that you're going to need to do is after you answer is simply copy the 3 questions. The 3 questions that you will be answering. So this is week 1. After this seminar and after the end of this week, you should be able to answer the 3 questions. You'll duplicate the slides, and in week 2, which will be next week, it'll be asynchronous. You'll do entry 2 and answer the same 3 questions. By the end, you should have 5 entries, totaling 15 questions. And at the end of this today, if there are any questions, we'll follow back up with the reflection journal. As also for the assessment, it will also get put in here, and you'll be able to see the assessment that we'll work on. So today webinar, we are going to be talking about creating online assessments with Google Forms. Working in Prince George's County, we are a Google Suite county, meaning we have access to all of the Google Suite activities, and students all have Gmail. So Google Forms is a part of that, and it is a great way to create online assessments. And the biggest thing I wanted to do is sometimes teachers don't know, they only are stuck in the creating multiple choice online assessments or true false. And so I just want to now be able to help you see how to branch that off into creating a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. In math, that's what we call them. But if that's not the statements, how to create those multiple choice and also those short response, and then also even the essay response questions. And just show you how to get the most out of Google Forms. So if you need a quick formative assessment on students and you want to ask 2 questions, 1 question, or if you want to do a summative assessment for the end of a quarter. So one thing I also want to point out is in order to get the Google Forms, there are multiple ways. If you are in Google Classroom or your email, you would click, they definitely have a name for this. I forget what it's called. Google has a name for it, but it's always in the same place next to your profile picture and your gear, your settings gear. And you will just simply scroll down to Google Forms. And so you have a choice of many different templates. The county actually has some templates already made as well. Google has templates, and if you click PGCPS, actually, no, they do. They did. They might have taken them down. They used to have templates already made, but I believe they may have taken them down since. And I was told that these 4 dots, as you can see, even in here at Google, at the forms, it's called the waffle. I knew it had a name, so it's called the waffle. And that's how you get to all your different Google applications. So we're talking about assessments. So again, you see there's one that they already have a template for that is an assessment. They have exit tickets, course evaluations if you just need to make a poll. If you want a blank quiz, we're going to go ahead and hop into the blank quiz so that we can start completely from scratch. And so jumping right in, the top, obviously, you can title, you can add images, videos, import questions. This is the title, so you wouldn't really want to import a question, but you also can add questions which will pop underneath. But you just title it. In our case, we're going to title this a fake quiz. You can add a description for your students to let them know what quiz they're going to be taking, what it's on. Right? And you then can name your quiz and make sure you know exactly what it is before, and everything saves. Up here, you actually see it says automatically saves, and it lets you know when was the last time it was saved. So it already has a question pre-made for you, which normally starts as multiple choice. Multiple choice is pretty simple. You ask your question, you can add pictures. Let me see if I can grab a picture really quickly. Nope, that's not my pictures I want. You got a picture. It pops up. Then you can add a question to the picture if you need to. If your picture already has a question, you simply can leave it blank. The question, the untitled question area. With the picture, you can change your question. We'll go through all these different types of questions. But with multiple choice, you simply start adding what you want the choices to be. They give you an option to, if you, as you see, are about to make double, it gives you indication that you are about to make a duplicate. So it lets you know not to put a number twice or an answer twice. One thing I will say that's good about Google is there are no limits to the amount of choices you can have on your multiple choice. So some online assessment tools, they give you a certain limit for multiple choice questions. There is no limit for these tests, right? So that's a great option. Now, if you are working and you're like, oh, I don't need these anymore, you simply take them out. Answer key. Once you made your question, 1, you click the answer key. It lets you say how many points this question is worth. 2, you actually choose the answer here. All right, but now it's multiple choice, but you also have the opportunity to change it to multiple selection too. And sorry, there's an opportunity to add feedback for if they get an incorrect answer, you can add a video or send it to a page for the students to see, as well as if they get the answer correct. So that's a very good tool for instant feedback for students if they're doing a quick informative assessment or if they're doing a longer assessment. You get the instant feedback that whatever you want to put in. So if you know this problem had to do with, I don't know, finding slope, and you had a video that you did on slope, you can then add that video straight in. And so after the test, once they've seen they got it wrong, it'll be a video to help them with whatever they got wrong. You click done, and now you're back to the edit test side of things. So down here, obviously trash can is for delete if you don't want the problem. You can duplicate the problem. And if it's for some reason you like the question and you're just going to change one or two little things. And this is the big one, requiring or not requiring. All right, because if you do not require, then it may be a test where, so this is just another option where you want to give choice. So you put 20 questions on there and you tell the students they can choose any 5 to do, right? So you don't require them to answer. They won't get marked wrong or right because they didn't answer. And then they got the choice out of all 20 to do. But if you want them to have to answer it, you put require. It will not let them submit until they actually answer the question. And so you can turn on the shuffle the question, the answer order. Right? You can add a descriptor to each question. If you have sections, which we have not talked about, you can add sections for if some reason you had them, if they chose this, then they go to this section, if they chose that, but that's not as much needed on a quiz per se. Now, let's go to our next question. So we click the plus button and we add a new question. So check boxes is more of your multiple selection. This is built to be a multiple selection problem. One cool thing, in the answer section, you can add images. So instead of having words, you could just have images as your answer selection, and your question could be a word. So if I'm a science teacher and I'm got a picture of I don't know, a cell, and I say, where is the mitochondria? I think that's in the cell. And I have certain parts lit up. I have certain, in each picture, I have certain parts lit up. Well, the question is, where's the mitochondria? Then they get the images and they have to choose where's the mitochondria. You know, just again, another cool way of them having the ability to show their knowledge and not just in the old simple pencil and paper way, just multiple choice. Now, this is still obviously multiple choice, but as we keep going, you'll see it can become more and more options. So a drop down box question. I like this because you can use it in multiple ways. It could be a fill in the blank type of thing. If, you know, I ask the question, the color of the sky is blank because of the reflection of the ocean. Yeah, I'm a math teacher. I'm kind of thinking I'm trying to remember old stuff. I don't know if this is completely right, but I think it's blue because of the reflection of the ocean. And well, I must be close because you know, Google suggested that I say blue. But blue, red, green. So now, once we actually do the test and I do a preview of it, it's a drop down. So it's more of a fill in the blank. Now they're not filling in the blank themselves with actual words, but it is now they get to choose which one they think goes in there. All right. So, and again, we would go to the answer key. They chose blue for us already because that's what we suggested was the answer. We say however many points it's worth. Short answer. That's, again, short response. Sometimes on a test, you may want to have them put their names first. This is normally a good place to do a duplicate because you're going to use the word name again and you do last. Now, why would you break up first and last name? Because once this is all done, it will be all the results will be put in a nice spreadsheet for you. And so in order to sort the students by their names, you will want them to answer separately. If you have them put first and last name in one section, then it's just going to sort by that first letter. So for some students, they may put their first name first. For other students, they might put their last name first. And so it really wouldn't create a real order for you. So that's a good reason to go ahead and separate them. And at this point, if you thought about this problem after you've already started, you're like, oh, I put it down here. Well, you have the ability to move questions around. So they're not stuck just because you put it down there. So now I can move that first name, last name to the top. Key thing is this isn't a question, so you don't have to assign it any points. And you will want to make sure you require something like this. Now, we've answered 2 questions, right? And let's say, all right, this was 2 questions of one little standard that I've taught. Now I want to add a section because, wait, where to add it to? So that was section 1, these 2 questions, but I can move this. I can move my can I move my sections now? No, move my questions. So I can move these up to section 1. So don't worry, just because it broke it up, that's not where it has to be. So this is section 2. Section 1 was the descriptor of the test. So after you already named your test, you would probably want to put another section in and actually put these questions. So that's why it separated it for you. And of course, it's not going down right now. Oh, good. I have some questions. So also telling students put their first name, help to match the roster. Perfect. We sort names according to their sections because I was checking that word and they were arranged according to their names. We'll pull down a question for the mod, sort by the, yes. So a couple of questions in my chat while I am going to go ahead and just delete this section. Perfect. So that I can, oh no, I lost my question. Unfortunately, because I deleted that section, I lost my question and I don't want to do that. So I'm just gonna undo and that's gonna fix everything. And I'm gonna merge with the section above. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. So I had a couple of questions with just adding another. Yes, you can definitely add another section. And some people use periods. Some people in Prince George's County, we have what are called mods. Same thing as periods. You can make a drop-down box for the students to choose what their mod is. And that's also another section. So when we actually do, when somebody actually answers the test and the spreadsheet begins to get made, you will have this as another way to sort the students. And again, you would just want to make that required. All right, so section 2, I don't know, this is sky because I asked a question about the sky. So I let the students know this is the sky unit. That's the descriptor. So section 1, fake quiz, they put their names, their mod. Section 2 is the sky unit. So after section 1, you let them know to go to section 2. Then why does it keep? And again, this is something that you just play around with. Oh, that's why, because I had it there. So now I add a third section. Let's see some reader stuff. Grammar. Right? I really don't know any grammar questions. Or so let's say essay. This is the essay section. So that means we're probably going to be creating some long response questions. We're expecting a long answer, a paragraph. You can add a picture. Let's say this is a free writing English class. And so there's a picture and I want you to create. So really I wouldn't say I want you to create a short story from the picture given, right? So now they have the long answer, you answer key. If you can be very descriptive in that. So you can say you need 3 paragraphs. So you get 3 points, or because it's paragraphs, you get 5 points per paragraph. So it's 15 points, whatever you want to do. At least 3 paragraphs. Right? And so let's say you didn't like that picture. Well, if you right click, one, you can just move it around, but it's a pretty big picture, so it's not going to move too much. And then instead of deleting, you can change, or you can add a caption of what the picture is. So this is a picture of football stats. All right, and so then it'll be their job to answer, require it again. You can give description. So if you wanted your question and your description to be separate, at least 3 paragraphs, you can let them know it's 5 points per paragraph. And I actually deleted it, and I'll have to write it again. If you knew exactly what you wanted it to be, a minimum character count, maximum character count, so you're like, okay, well, I don't want to have to read more than 1,000 characters. I don't know how much that is in real life. Or contains, doesn't contain, matches, and you can give items that it needs to have, what it needs to talk about. So it definitely needs to talk about football. And this is more so for the computer to try to grade. Comes to these short response, long response, they don't have to, but you can give them an opportunity. And then you can put errors that should be marked points off of in here, and it gives Google Engine an opportunity to be able to see and try to grade for you. You have it matches perfectly for that. Probably wouldn't be for long text. That probably be more for your short response. If you knew it was a simple question and you knew what the answer needed to be. Now, when it comes to the short responses, this is now where math comes into play, because short response, you want to know, in this case, what is the rate of change? You want to know what the rate of change is. Well, they have to be able to type it here. So you know it should be equal to, and then whatever number, let's say it was 3/2, that's what it has to be. But they don't accept fractions. That's one of the downfalls. So you got to put a whole number or a decimal, I believe. Let me see if I can put a decimal. So yeah, decimal or a whole number. So on these type of problems, you wouldn't want fractions. You would definitely want it to be a whole number or a decimal. And you would probably put that in the description, change to decimal or whole number. But you also can do text, what it contains. The length, again, can be, 10, well, 10 is pretty short, 100 characters. And that's like 2 sentences, or not even 2. And again, just for writing. And we've already done the answer key. So let's actually add a video. So you can search on YouTube. See if they got anything on water. So why is the sky blue? We talked about this before. So now, why is the sky blue? That's added there. So you literally could just say, watch this video. And then we can start adding questions after the video. So the video stands alone. The cool thing about the video is you also can obviously, you can change it, but if you have a video from YouTube already, you can just copy and paste the URL right in there and it'll pull it up. If you did a Google form, and I don't really think you would do this on a test, but you do have the ability to allow them to upload a file. If for some reason you did assessment of a project and they had to answer some questions and then they had to upload their file. The linear scale is making the more of a poll than it is for an assessment. Is more used for polling than per se assessment. If you wanted a grid, you would want to do the multiple choice. Oh, let my thing reload. Internet, kind of messes up sometimes. So if you wanted that grid and you had questions, or in this case in math, 4 plus 3 equals 2 minus 1 equals, and you can do a couple different ones, and then on this side you just put the answers and it kind of turns into a matching. But it turns into a matching. Now you can add a picture to the top. Unfortunately, for the columns and the questions on this one, there is no picture that you can add. So if you did want to do like a matching of a diagram, you would have to just do a multiple choice and go one by one. Yes, and let me see. 1, 7, 12. All right. So again, you get a choice to require the score. Just a preview of what it would look like, where we are right now. So as we split it up sections, this is the first thing they can do before they even get to answer questions. They have to do this first section. And because it's required, something has to go in there. It won't let them keep going on. For here, again, everything is required, so I'm going to have to answer. Watch the video. And so now 4 plus 3, what does that equal? And I get to choose which one it equals. And it lets them know this requires 1 response per row. So you got to answer each one. All right, and then they will submit. In the question section, you probably will want to say what they're doing, but at the same time, you can still add a descriptor. And the difference is, if you only want them to choose 1 answer per row, you want to limit it to 1. You want to make sure you click down here and limit it. And you also can shuffle the row order so that it's not the same for each student. Of course, you go in your answer key and you'll have to say which one is which. And the cool thing about these is you can have them be worth more. Like every one doesn't have to be worth one or the same amount. If it's a harder problem, it can be worth more. So altogether it's worth 7. But let's say they got 1 and 2 right, they wouldn't get 7 points. They would just get the amount from 1 and 2. Oh, I believe again so Google just does this where I think it's more of how you like the look than too much of a difference, because you can make both multiple selections, but the checkbox is normally, that's how they see it on most tests. The circle is multiple choice, which means you should really only be choosing one per row or one answer, whereas the checkbox normally is how you should see choosing multiple answers. And then if for some reason you want them to date and time it, it's already timestamped, so not necessarily a big thing to use. Now, interesting thing is, if for some reason you wanted it to kind of go out of order, you could, however you built it, put it in whatever order you want. So we switched this to after section 1, go to section 3, and then after section 2, go to section 1. That's perfectly fine if you wanted to do that. If maybe you were making 2 for one class, so that, I don't know, you thought, I mean, it's virtual learning, so it's kind of hard to really crack down on cheating and things. But if this is when we're back in the classroom, you want to, instead of having to literally create 2 different assessments, you could just copy the same one, and one after section 1, you have them go to section 3, and for the other one after section 1, they go to section 2. So really, that would be the only difference I would really see for why you would want it out of order. Some other things to look at, so we can customize the themes. You got the ability to upload a picture if you want to. Or do I have, what photos do I have? I think I got some stuff from my emoji classroom, but it's too small. I mean, it's too big to use. So they also already have plenty of different things made for you. If you don't want that basic purple that it comes in. And so it comes with a nice little picture at the top. You can change the color, add color. So it changes the color. You can, you get a lot of opportunity. The background color, they change based off of what you make. And then there are 4 fonts that it comes with: basic, decorative, formal, or playful. All depending on what you want. At any time, you can preview and see what it will look like for them. It lets you know at the top the total points. Look at that, it made it equal 25 on the dot. I love 20. I love good looking numbers. Let's say you have a co-teacher. Well, you can add a collaborator to work with you, and both of y'all will have the ability to work in it, change things, and see scores, and also share it. You have your preferences. Mine is for them to collect the email addresses, but I'm also still going to turn that on, and you can make questions be required as a preference. But now let's actually go in. So in general, even though you collect first and last names, you still can collect emails. If you decide you don't need first and last names because you're going to collect emails, that's fine. You can send a response. You can allow the recipients to get the actual assignment to them, like get the quiz emailed to them. You can, if you put if response requested at the end, it'll ask them if they want it and they can choose, or you can make it always. Because it's a quiz or assessment, you probably want to limit it to 1. If you don't, then you just don't limit it to 1. If you want them to have unlimited chances, you can allow them to edit after or not. If for some reason you wanted them to be able to see what the class averages are, they will be able to see the charts and text responses that everybody puts. You can shuffle the question. So again, Google's just trying to help you not have to create 2 different tests to try to help with cheating. You also can show a progress bar. Some people like to know how much more do they have before they're done. You can put a message for when they finish. And they will see this message. If it's, I definitely spelled finishing wrong. If it was like, now complete vocab list in Google Classroom. So it negates, it gives them those directions without you actually having to say, this is what you gotta do next. Because we know kids love to say they're done. And they probably still would get this and still say, okay, what do I gotta do now? And so essentially the big thing is, if you don't have this on, it's just a poll, essentially. Turn this on makes points value come to life and allows for auto grading. This is actually a really good tool, but it's not useful if it's no guarantee that everybody has Chromebooks. So when you get back in the classroom, you have a class set of Chromebooks, very, very great tool. It now eliminates them being able to do anything but the quiz. And it lets you know if they've left. But if you turn it on now, all it will do is block out students who don't have Chromebooks and won't allow them to do the quiz. You have the choice to allow them to see the grade right away or later on. If you do later on, it automatically turns on that email collection. This is the big one. You might, if you do let them see stuff, as soon as you release the grades, you have the choice between point values, correct answers. You can let them see everything, or you can let them see nothing. I would steer away from correct answers, because that just allows for them to help somebody else who's still doing it, versus like missed questions. If it's just true or false, then that they still know what the answer is, so they can help somebody. But it allows them to see what they got right or got wrong, and point values. I mean, it just lets them know how much each question was worth. So as you can see, because I said I want to collect emails, it pops up at the top, and it lets them know, it lets them see that their email is going to be collected. On our responses side, obviously there are no responses. If you're not ready for anybody to do the quiz, you just turn not accepting responses. Or let's say it's a time quiz. So they got 30 minutes. Once 30 minutes are up, you can turn that off. Nobody can click submit anymore, and it's too late. You have the choice to get an email notification every time somebody submits a new response. So if you already have a spreadsheet made, you can let it be known where you want this response to go to. Otherwise, the responses to go to, otherwise it will create one, and you actually can name it, whatever spreadsheet, whatever you want to name it. You can download them instead of even having it go to the select response. So, but let's just see if we create it, just so we can talk about the spreadsheet. So the timestamp automatically comes in, email address, their score, then first name, last name, mod, and then each question and what they answered each question. So this gives us the opportunity to now sort it however we need to. First name, last name, mod, and it just becomes very easy to grade. So I'm wrapping up this webinar on using Google Forms to create online assessments, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 questions. I'm gonna stop recording now.